So we're learning at this hour that amongst those 60 passengers who were on that commercial jet coming from Wichita, Kansas, which was figure skaters, ice skaters that were on that plane, were coming from a U.S. National Development Championship out there. There were 14 members of the skating community that were killed. 6 of them are from Massachusetts. They're from the Boston Club. And earlier today, we heard that Boston Club speak about what this means. And like you said, Sharon, earlier, it's not just the lives were lost, but the people that have competed with these skaters, that know them, that obviously at this hour are also trying to find answers. Let's listen in.
Full of grace, a serious competitor, but so nice about it and so supportive of her fellow competitors. Just a delight, but for a little 13-year-old, just full of grace. And I want to say one other thing about Vadim and Genya, because I refer to them as being strict, and I think what I really mean to say, they had high standards because they were incredibly kind. They were so kind, but they had high standards. And the combination really worked with their kids because they felt the support, but they also knew where the bar was. And I have to say, for me as CEO here, I could not walk into this arena, see them for the first time that day, and for them not to come over, shake my hand, and thank me for the opportunity to be here, which you don't always see. Just very grateful and generous with their feedback. I mean, we can probably all speak to that. Well, maybe you're probably too young.
Thank you.
I grew up in the shadow of that. So the crash had happened before I was born, but my mom had me skating at a very early age. And even as a little 4-year-old, as a little 3-year-old, I knew something terrible had happened. Folks weren't talking about it, but there was a pall. There was like this black energy in the arena at the old facility at 1240 Soldiers Field Road. And as a little kid, it was like the terrible awful that you couldn't talk about. It was that devastating. And I just knew not to ask about it, but I could viscerally feel it. I think we'll see how we move forward here. The fact that we have no skaters on the ice right now and no coaches is not because we asked them not to come. I think they're staying away, they're just processing this, and they're taking a break. But I think Nancy and Tenley and Elin and Paul coming to join us today and not knowing there would be media here, but just to be part of the fabric of our community over the decades speaks a lot to why skating is such a special and in many ways unique sport, a really strong sport.
I will attest to that, going through something tragic, not like this, but myself, that the communities stood behind me, and I'm grateful for that. And so it's my turn now to hopefully be here. I'm not sure what it is to do. Maybe get someone a cup of coffee, but a hug, I'm here for hugs. I don't know. It's just, I want to be able to give back what I feel like I got.
Nancy, so many people see figure skating as hyper-competitive.
Oh, thank you.
Can you see other figure skaters other than competitors? Obviously today, even though perhaps you didn't personally know each other, you feel a connection. So skaters just don't see each other as somebody else to beat on the ice, do they?
But I think there's like a camaraderie. We spend a lot of time focused on yourself or your team if you're a para dance, but you're in the cold, not so much here, but a lot, hour after hour. So there is like this, you don't have to know everybody to feel that connection. We've been through the same thing, that training, that rigorous schedule of falling over and over and somehow picking yourself back up, which is like the main lesson I think learned in skating is you get back up. Keep on trying, and even when it's hard, you get back up. Even when you're crying, hurt, pain, you get back up and move forward. It's not easy, but that's what we all have to do now together.
Could you reflect on what this loss means for the sport, too? To lose coaches like that, to lose just up-and-comers like that, what that means for the sport.
Does anybody want to start on that one?
Is there more? just here.
I would say, first of all, that the sport will rebound. It always hurts to lose coaches of the talent we lost. In 1961, the same thing happened. We lost some very, very outstanding coaches, but coaches came up and worked harder. To Nancy's point, Nancy went through a very tough time. She had great resolve in 1994 and came back. Tenley, around her Olympic time, as you may recall, had an injury, if I recall correctly, Tenley, but she fought back. Skaters are resolute. The other thing I would say is that we're part of a larger sports community. I've heard today from the president of USA Hockey, the executive director of USA Hockey. I've heard from countless people in other sports. We band together. We're a family, not only of figure skaters, but of sports men and women. So I think we will very much rebound, and we'll get some coaches going.
Nancy, you spoke about the coaches a little bit. Are there others that were lost that you would like to share anything about that you knew personally?
All right, we've been listening to that Boston club. Obviously, they have been through a lot. Nancy Kerrigan herself, a Hall of Famer there for figure skating, and clearly the trauma from her 1994 attack still very fresh in her heart. And like they said, even from 1961, the pain still remains. Another big blow for the figure skating community across the country.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, these were coaches, parents, skaters that were coming back from Wichita, Kansas, this big national championship. They were there for this camp, coming home. So many of them now grieving a lost son, daughter, parent. The grief is just endless. Our breaking news coverage continues after this.